Hello friends and welcome back. Today I'm going to share with you a card that I made for La La Land Crafts, and this is for the tutorial Thursday. And this one I'm going to call the double frame card because it is kind of like a dimensional double frame. So anyway, here is everything that we're going to use to make this card, and I'm going to start with the stamp set, which I have not used yet. This is from the last new release. It's called Hogs and Kisses. So stinking cute. But this is very much like a relationship style stamp set, so I thought this would make a really cute wedding card. So that's what we're working towards here, is like a little wedding card or like engagement card or something like that. So we're going to start off with, I made an A2 size card base and two A2 size card panels. So 4¼ by 5½. What you need is three A2 size card panels because we are going to put this on a larger card base. I've also got the stitched scalloped rectangle dies, and we're going to be using the largest one on the A2 size panels to create our frames. So just going to set that down there. So this is what we're going to use for that. And then I've got some of the older kit dies. So this one is from October of 2019. We're going to use the mountain, and we're going to use that little oval right there for a piggy, for a little mud puddle for the piggies to stand in. Super cute. If you don't have these, you could totally cut these out by hand. You don't have to do anything special. And then I'm going to be using the stitched cloud border dies and the country fence. I just kind of wanted to pull out dies because I have a bunch of them and I don't get to use them that often. So when it's basically an anything goes kind of a challenge, I just like to pull out everything and just use a whole bunch of stuff. So this is that Tic Tac one from the last release, and I'm only going to be using the heart, the little stitched heart on there. And then this kit is the one, the meats and potatoes of this actual card, and I'm using the lemonade stand from the September card kit as my altar. So paper-wise, I'm going to be using the green and the blue with the hearts. That's going to be my grass and my clouds, and that's from the Love You More paper pack. And I'm going to be using the Happy Heart background stamp to create kind of like a little whimsical background. I didn't want just plain, I didn't want just like to do a ton of ink blending. I just wanted to do something simple, so I used clear embossing powder, and then I'm just going to use the tumbled glass Distress Oxide ink, and I'm just going to very lightly barely cover it, and then I'm going to wipe it off with a microfiber cloth. So that way the hearts kind of come through, but you don't really, it's not so overpowering that it like takes over the card. It's just subtly in the back, gives it a little bit of a whimsical, fun hearts in the background feel without it being like glaringly too bright. Now we're going to create the frame. So I'm going to very carefully line this up in the middle of these A2 card panels as best as I can, and then I'm going to run it through my machine together. I use like a little shim to make sure that it cut all the way through both pieces, and that just creates my frame. Now, this is where you can change things up. If you want a thicker frame all the way around, you need larger size panels. So this is A2 size, and this is what happens when you use the largest rectangle for this. So you could either go with an A2 size and do the next size down on the rectangle die, or you can do a bigger panel to start with, and that'll give you a bigger frame, a little bit bigger of a frame, and just kind of adjust accordingly. If I was going to redo this card, I would have done that, because then it would have been easier for me to attach my fun foam to, because I put fun foam in between each layer to give it that dimension, and so it would have been a little bit easier to try to adhere the fun foam if it were just a little bit thicker of a frame. So now I've gone through and I've cut out all of the little elements that go in each one of the layers. I started out with the mountains, and I just used it's like a rose gold metallic paper, and I've got the green. I used the cloud border dies to create both the clouds at the top and the bushes at the bottom. So I'm going to just attach my mountains, and here is where another thing where if you want to change this up would be to move your mountains up a little higher so that they would be closer to the clouds at the top. So I've got my grass at the bottom, which I used this stitched cloud border dies, and I used for both the bushes and the clouds at the top. And then I've got my upper frame. So my upper frame is also going to have fun foam all the way around. I cut out 4 of the lemonade stand to create the altar. I've got the country fence, which I stuffed in between the mountains and the bottom bushes at the bottom there. And then I also cut out another piece of from the bottom of the grassy stuff to go on the outside. So that way I've got all these different layers to go through. Now we're going to put together the altar. So what I wanted to do with this is I cut it out 4 times because 2 things. I want it to be real sturdy, and I also wanted to give it kind of a shadow in the back so that it looks real dimensional. So I'm putting the 2 lighter colors together in the front, and that's where I also did use the white heat embossed Hogs and Kisses on that, and also that heart is going to go there. And then on the back, I'm going to use the 2 darker brown that I also die cut out, and I'm going to just barely offset on either side, so that way it gives it just that little tiny bit of a shadow behind it all the way around. So one's going to be kind of scooted to one side and the other's going to be kind of scooted to the other side, and it just gives it just a little bit more to make it kind of pop off the page. I think it just looks better that way. So once I get that all put together, I will also add my heart, my little shiny heart. I can never put together a card without some sparkle on it. They all have to sparkle somewhere. So the little heart's going to go at the top. And my little couple is standing there, and they're going to go in front of the altar after we finish putting everything in there. So once that's all together, we're going to want to finish up the frame. So now that has fun foam on the back, so we're just going to adhere that on top. Figure out where the grass is going to go, because that's going to go right along the bottom. So I've placed it right along the bottom and trimmed off the excess, and then the altar is just going to kind of sit right in between those 2. So it gives you lots of different layers to look at. And then we're going to add the Mr. and Mrs. on the front. And this is where I'm realizing that I need a bigger card base, because I just feel like it needs to pop off of the page better, so that's what I did. So this card base here is 4 3/4 by 6 inches. And then I cut out a piece of the pattern paper from the Love You More paper pack, and I made it just slightly smaller than the card base itself. And then I put the actual framed panel right in the middle of that. I've also cut out some of the presents. This is from that 3 presents die that was part of the winter release, and I added some sparkly bows to it. I used the same paper that I used for that heart, and now I'm just placing them around the altar here. I just think it gives it just a little bit more pizzazz, a little bit more sparkle, and I just think it's really cute. Gives the scene just a little bit more. And then I added some of these dimensional pink hearts kind of all around it, just to give it a little bit more. And I added the sentiment at the top, which is "You are meant for each other," and that's in that same stamp set. Here's a close-up of our finished project. I hope this gives you guys a few ideas on some of the things that you can do using the older dies and stamps, because we are getting ready to dive into the new release this week. So can't wait to show you what we've been working on, and I hope you guys have a wonderful week, and I will see you again real soon. Thanks for stopping by. Bye-bye.